clouds chase you like ocean waves. Where mountains resemble resurrected titans. Where rocks on high ridges look like fallen ancient fortresses. This place exists. This is Brigdungla, Bumthang, central Bhutan. Several months ago, Bumthang district promised to unveil a unique addition to their eco-cultural tourism campaign for beautiful Bumthang. And there we were, months later, invited to document this new gift to Bhutan's tourism. What is this gift? It is a trail that has never been trekked before, except by yak herders of these highlands. Brigdungla Trail is a 4-day trek which takes you to the highest point of about 4,600 meters along scenic pine forests, vast rhododendron shrubs, dozens of lakes. Locals say that there are actually 108 scattered lakes around this region, beautiful valley views and tiger habitat. Tsring Penjasa from the Bumthang Dzongkhag Administration leading the trail says that in these 4 days we'll get to see a huge portion of the views that you see along the 1-month snowman trek. Our journey along Brigdungla Trail begins from the village of Jure, an hour's journey from the Ura Bypass Road. Starting from an altitude of 2,867 meters, our first destination is our first night campsite, Pongchen, at 3,273 meters. Brigdungla is probably one of the most unheard of places in Bhutan yet. Locals in Bumthang say that they grew up hearing the many folk stories around the region. After a grueling ascent among giant spruce and pine trees, we reach our first campsite after almost 8 hours, located in a beautiful open meadow on a high mountain. You'll also notice a cozy cabin, one of the highlights of the Brigdungla Trail. Bumthang Dzongkhag is the first Dzongkhag to create such amenities for travelers. You should definitely check out this log cabin the next time you come here.
Today we'll be leaving the trail line. We'll be into shops. We'll be walking through the rhododendron gardens, and then we will be passing through near the lakes while we are walking towards the actual place where Brigdungla actually is.
As you finally cross the last hurdle of the second day, an open vast landscape awaits with the most stunning views. And here you'll see this. Towards the end of the second day, you'll find yourself close to a sacred space that is revered by this region in Bumthang. At the highest point of the trail, at 4,521 meters, stands what locals believe to be the home of a mystical force, Phola. In Bhutan, we believe that spirits and deities reside in the land as supernatural entities in giant trees, rocks, and mountains. This sacred mountain is a Phola, male deity that this region of Bumthang worships. This majestic mountain is the highlight of the Brigdungla trek, and you'll come to understand why the landscape here encapsulates everything that the highlands in Bhutan are all about.
This has to be one of the best kitchens I've actually ever been inside on a trekking trip. Look, this is actually inside a cave, and they've piled a lot of rocks right next to it, so it creates a kitchen. And we actually stationed outside. And wanting bitches umala.
Emergency zodola mera.
Emergency. Say.
If you ever come to Brigdungla, you have to spend an extra day at this site. We were too curious about what lay beyond the ridges surrounding our campsite, and this is what we saw. Towards the evening, Meme Jurmi, or main Lam Tempa, our guide, took us to collect firewood for the evening bonfire. At this altitude, the main firewood you'll find are the dead branches of the rhododendron shrubs. But these shrubs take a long time to grow. So I asked if it would be sustainable, especially if the trail opens to tourism. Most trails in Bhutan ban the burning of firewood at this altitude for forest conservation, so maybe they'll stop doing that too along Brigdungla, especially if more people start coming here. And finally, on day 4, we say goodbye to Mount Phola, begin our descent. The trail descending from the peaks takes you into more open glades of balusulu shrubs, and it feels like there's no end to the vastness. Today's journey from Semchi Camp to Bongbu Camp, down to 4,090 meters.
야, 아따 몸항 주제.
Emma.
질남주 오게 농빠.
Jilnamcho songang eva kala umat.
아오.
Sin borang nang ke umat. Roki borang umat tu yola mak yola.
Finally, after 4 hours, we arrive at our last campsite at Bongbu, and here we come across one more log cabin built by the villagers of Beam, our endpoint village.
Look at the window. So nicely done. Wow. 진짜 시도다.
You'll see Galkapinso, you'll see Menakarchu, you'll see Pasango.
Okay, it's the last day of our trek. We're heading down, and the last stop, we're actually going all the way down to that cow hutter's home. Can you see?
Shurele juda chupakalo abe zumle abe tete kome romola. Abe zumle ki sakona lo no yuise la mela. Agi bunta biki no yuise. Debodalo ayamindo la. Ay kele nyamsi.
This is actually quite sad because even during the trek, we saw a lot of abandoned, what do you call that? Sheds?
No janse.
We say Nobjanse in our language, and Tipisa is saying that a lot of these families have actually abandoned this way of life, and apparently the family that we are headed to right now is the only one in this region. So come, let's go meet them.
If you ever come across this yak herding family in Brigdungla, consider yourself lucky. Why? That's because they are the last family to live this way of life in these mountains. After nervously meandering through a large herd of yaks, we arrive at the home of the family taking care of these majestic animals. Meet Sangye, 57-year-old mother of 7 and the sole matriarch looking after 160 yaks. She's a strong, independent woman, and she explains why locals here don't want to live her nomadic life anymore.
Kanil ta simta nam samratal simjan tagi sut sawar jong simpete sut pete sek kusin tagambong sut tani susla tening ni naning patabo shantang na kihtan sim mi mun mo de kanil mi kanila na ta tek mi mudurang so sa ji tab mitik sala sini ongi zamzam ongi ratala pomi na mai ro sin zamzam di madang madago konegi tabuno bunitmiya ngardi라면 마바다
Shabazin yip maya.
Kone sin mi shaksagen mana sin so mer kitchen amiyan sa so nito sin tening buno sa poso jong tening bun sin dan tan koni
Boza graduate when wa?
wela
Sai charu buzi.
ta koni ang ta tening ning dik ta nitwara sin tan atare ichu makan na tan yoge nyang nan gasra monyang na tan sora taksa atare na kodo sim da sora kotlo yarora hinsang rata prang marang kurang ina bumo to ko ngira prang marang kochiga prang marang sim da sora kotlo.
If you ever come to Brigdungla, come visit the home of a yak herding family and you'll be treated to some of the most exquisite and exotic highland dishes like the yak cheese cooked in sugar and butter. It's rich, heavy, but Sangye says that's what you need to eat to be strong at this altitude.
아니 디디미 당수이멜라 저거 망어서 대 마늘로대로 로포 유보베 저거도 이제 카살레 조사내기메 대달에 괴몬도스 공기 나와 건디기 대로 같이 될로베 록수베 대자이 있으멜라 다 공기 루치가기 gem도스로 안임지 대치통도 단어게 수바신 나치게 콜로 대가 대다다 차르베고 같이 해서 이멜랑 아이고
It's easy to find their way of life interesting, especially for a short visit, but most of us don't realize how difficult it can be. We were fortunate enough to get a glimpse of this way of life because of Sangye's hard work. And this is where tourism along this trail can benefit families and communities in the highlands. If you come across such families, visit them, buy what they offer. It may not be much to you, but it's a source of income for them. Maybe this way, we can slowly see the return of more nomadic families in these highlands. Every once in a while, you come across a place that you do not want to leave. As I say goodbye to Brigdungla, I tell myself not to ponder on the sadness of seeing the trek come to an end. Instead, I take with me so much more than what I started this journey with. I take with me the memory of the pink skies of Bongchen's dawn, the memory of Pola's majestic presence posed to allure yet another wanderer. I take with me the stories and anecdotes from an amazing group of people who made this journey more memorable. And I take with me the moment when I first saw the scattered lakes on the vast highlands and reflected on its sheer existence. Come to Bumthang, come to Brigdungla, create your own adventure and see for yourself the magic as you discover the lost trail of Brigdungla.